My name is Felicia, and we're back with another Artist to Watch Class of 2021 episode, where today we're talking to RKHTY, who is a singer, songwriter, and creative from Brooklyn, New York. I'm super excited to just learn more about your journey. Welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this. I'm ready to graduate and go on to bigger and better things for 2021 and beyond.
Yes, I love it. Manifest it. So, first off, how have you been this year? It's been very hectic and just full of surprises. How have you been personally?
This year has been interesting. I think the biggest thing for me is that I've saved a lot of money. I had so many plans, and then, COVID happened. And it was like, you need to sit down and relax and save your money and think about other things that you should be putting it towards. And I've been able to kind of just like focus on what I should have been doing instead of my plans that I had for 2020.
Right.
So this year's been more reflective than anything else. And I'm sure a lot of people would be able to relate to that. And it's kind of like put me in a position to kind of take a step back and reanalyze a little bit more than I would have done had things been normal.
Yeah, it's been the same for me, and I think that's like a reoccurring theme when we talk to different, artists. It's like things didn't go according to my plan, but I did get time to work on things that I had been avoiding. So that's awesome. So can you start off by telling us how what inspired you to pursue music, and what were your early influences?
So I've always wanted to sing. I've always been singing. I started off in like church choruses, a lot of people do. And then from there, I kind of went on to being in the chorals from junior high, high school. The only time I really took a break from singing was like when I was in college and just trying to like figure out what I was going to do with my life. Once I realized that I didn't want to, so I went to grad school. Well, I started to be a audiologist. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I was there on a scholarship and I had to finish out my year. And then other than that, like I came home and just kind of was just like, all right, well, I really do want to do music. Like that's always kind of been in the back of my mind, like no matter what it is that I did throughout my academic career, I was just like, I want to get back into music. So that was kind of like my time to start and just figure things out. And I feel like I clearly have done that to a certain extent. As far as influences, I would say that my parents have been heavy influences, mainly because of the music that they played and just the sense of self that they kind of gave me. My dad used to play like a lot of calypso, just like old school music. My mom played a lot of like old school R&B. And my great grandmother, I grew up with my great grandmother. She used to play like a lot of like gospel country music. I grew up on a lot of like Jim Reeves. I said that before, and like one person was like, "Yeah, I know who Jim Reeves is." I'm like, "You do?" Like because that's like a pretty like old time artist.
Yeah.
So and then as I grew older, I've always liked Spanish. So and I've done study abroad in different Spanish speaking places. So that's definitely like played and had influence in what I would like to do at some point in time during my music career. And being that I've sang in different choruses, part of just being in that space is just learning to sing in different languages. So that's definitely something that I would like to tackle in the future in my music career.
Wow, that's awesome. So you also attended a performing arts school. What was that like?
So I attended a junior high and high school for performing arts, and it was good. I had a really good experience. One of my friends actually just posted like some pictures from high school, and I was like, we had a lot of fun because it was a small school. But the only thing that I wish that I would have been able to do is play instruments. I think a lot of times when you're a musician, I'm hoping that it's changed now. In those spaces, they're like, listen, you're a singer, like just stick to that. It's like, just do what you got to do. But the thing is, like, we still have to learn how to read music anyway. So why not give us another medium to express ourselves? That's always been a thing for me. And I was scared to do it in junior high, and then I wanted to do it in high school. And they just weren't really working with me and my schedule. And they were just like, listen, you're good. You're a good singer. Like, just stick to that and it's going to be fine. So,
Yeah. So
uh,
boxing you in sort of.
right. So, I mean, eventually I did take piano lessons, and then I got into my head and I was like, oh my God, I'm too old to play the piano or learn how to play the piano. And I could have been well into playing the piano. So that's something that I'm going to work on in 2021 or moving throughout the year as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, you talked about boxing, being boxed in. Your music does a great job embodying both past and modern elements, whether it be in the production or the lyrics. If someone had listened to you, how would you personally describe your sound?
Um, how would I describe my sound? I guess like comparatively speaking to an artist or just in general.
Just in general. Like, I guess if someone had listened to your music and they're like, yo, there's this dope chick, RKHTY, and they're like, what type of music does she make? Or what's her sound like? How would you describe your personal sound to them?
The thing is, my personal sound is changing. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I would say that I do a great job of embodying the music within a specific genre, but also crossing over. So I would say like it's a mixture of R&B, reggae, and pop for now.
Yeah.
Um, but it's something that my music is like, I guess, evolving R&B.
I like
I
that.
guess it would kind of be, what people consider contemporary R&B.
Yeah.
So just kind of like that on that rolling basis of giving you a transition into other things or just preparing the listener for what's up next.
Yeah. So, how has being from Brooklyn, a city that has birthed so many trailblazers in music, shaped you as an artist?
Say it again, because people from Queens, they get kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? So just saying. No, I'm kidding. Being from Brooklyn, you've always I feel like people from Brooklyn always have like a sense of self, and being that we've had so many people kind of blaze the way, people from Brooklyn kind of hold themselves to a higher standard. They hold themselves up a little bit taller, and it's just like, listen, I'm from Brooklyn, like just listen to what I got to say real quick. So it's played a vital role in the type of music, being that I'm around a lot of different people from different cultures, um, but it also gives me a sense of self to carry on a prouder to carry on a better legacy of like, hey, this is what's coming up from Brooklyn as well. The rappers from Brooklyn don't sound like the ones that were coming out in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s either. So it's for me to kind of say like, hey, this is what we're doing on the R&B side, or just on the musician side of Brooklyn, aside from everybody else, all the chat rappers and everybody else. So.
Yeah, Brooklyn is they definitely hold themselves at like a high pedestal. Anybody that's from Brooklyn definitely reps it. So it's just so refreshing to see like different genres and different types of people kind of coming up from the borough. But outside of music, I learned that you work as an office manager for a digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
How have you been able to kind of mesh your music career with that?
So funny enough, my boss, Mike King, he is a musician himself. And he's a rapper, and he's been able to kind of bridge the gap between what he sees as for music wise, and blend that into that aspect, as well as like bringing it into SEO, because they also focus on SEO optimization as well. So, or just SEO. So he had a great idea in a short amount of time to make a movie for a presentation that he had, and it's called Runtime. So I was able to contribute to it by way of doing the theme music or the intro music, and then also playing the villain and then the good person, and that was like throughout the movie. So not only just doing music and singing, I also do voiceovers as well. So I was able to kind of really bring everything that I've ever wanted to do, because ultimately I do want to do voiceovers in movies, and make that transition and do those fun things. It's in order to kind of bring everything alive, you really have to be animated, and that's not something that I'm not sure people see me in that light. So it was very cool to be able to do that. And then talking about something that you have no idea about, like I don't know anything about SEO to the extent that I had to speak about it. So it was good to have to do that research and just like even know how to pronounce things, or different programming and software systems, and just be like, am I saying this right? Like, is this okay? And everything worked out, and it was very well received. So I'm really grateful for that.
And have you, as an artist, because I think digital marketing has just become this like super significant thing, and not just music but everywhere, have you been able to kind of leverage the skills that you kind of learned in your music and kind of boost your career in a way?
So I started this position this year, right before the pandemic. um, I've learned a lot, but I haven't really been able to implement it because I'm still learning. And it's like, the more I learn, it's like, oh, wait, I'm missing this step. But in that as well, I've been able to contribute in another way of writing articles that I hope, other people or other artists would be able to use, because this is something that isn't going away. It's just the more you know, and especially during this time, it's going to help you to prepare for anything that will happen in a digital space. I think that a lot of artists are becoming more aware of the fact that this is important. And now, hopefully they're taking this time, especially during quarantine, to figure out how to leverage their craft on a digital platform. So that is my hope. Have I been able to apply a lot of things that I've learned? No, not really, because I'm still learning, and I've applied some things, but not to the extent that I feel like I probably could.
Yeah,
So.
I like your honesty, and I mean that's the part of growing is like learning and leveraging what you can. So amongst music, you have worked on a number of other creative projects, such as releasing merch, I think a podcast series.
Yeah.
You have your music placed in advertisements. Can you tell us more about those projects?
So I think a lot of it, merch is a very interesting thing for me, because it's just like, well, what do I want people to have in their homes, in their spaces, on their bodies from me? Like, I don't want to do the same old, same old. I think I started off because I was scared and it was like a safe thing to do. But I am working on like a number of like merch ideas that I hope to, well, that I will release. And I might as well just make it an actionable thing throughout the year. I think a lot of it too is just, especially with merch, is finding the right vendors, and um, not getting too much into your head, because it's not going to be as perfect as possible. It's not going to be as perfect as you want it to be. And I think for me, it's just like, I don't really like it. I'm just not going to do it, because being an independent artist, like, who's really going to stop me from not doing it? So I think merch is a very evolving thing for me. And I have a number of ideas to kind of make it personalized and fun for people. So that's something that they should definitely watch out for throughout the year. As far as like the other projects, I've really gotten them because it's kind of like who you know. And I think a lot of it is just my friends sharing my music, them saying, when we were able to meet people in person, like, hey, I think you should meet this person, or just simply reaching out. I think a lot of people, especially now, our reach for people that we used to go to these webinars to showcases and everything, and look to connect to, is a lot closer than we think.
Mhm.
I haven't explored that yet because I'm still thinking about like, how do I want to improve how I'm seen online? And then I think a lot of that goes into like just planning out my year and what I see for myself. Um, so that's really how I've been able to kind of get those gigs and whatnot. I think, or a lot of times I just ask. Like I feel like I have a lot of crazy ideas, and I just like, I'm just gonna ask, and that's how I've really gotten to do those things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Being assertive. And so we talked about all of like the things that you're doing creative wise. What is your go-to activity when you're having a creative block? Because we all get them. What's your go-to activity?
I take a nap. It's either that or I when we were able to go outside, I do try to like go outside. Or I call my friends and I brainstorm. I'm like, hey, I have this idea. What do you guys think about it? Would you, or how do you think of, what do you think about this idea from the stance of a consumer? So, and then that's the thing too, like I have friends that are in a creative space and that aren't. So I kind of go to those various inspections and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Like as a consumer wise. I don't have a process per se. I hope for the best. And then sometimes I kind of just like push through. A lot of the times, like if I'm writing, I'm just like, all right, I'm probably up most of the night just kind of maybe overthinking it. And then I have a breakthrough. And then, sometimes I just go into the studio and it comes to me, or I at least try to have a general idea of what I want. And honestly, I might even look to see what other people have done and be like, I don't want to do that, but I think this will be cool too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like how you talked about the importance of having like two sets of friends, like friends that may not be in the creative world,
Mm-hmm.
artists, and then having those people that are artists. Because I feel like we can kind of be biased sometimes.
Yeah.
I like that you point that out. In November, you put out your EP, Your Type.
Mm-hmm.
On it, you hear some strong reggae influences, kind of different from your past or previous.
Right. Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind it?
Honestly, I've always wanted to do that type of music, but I was scared to do it. That's what it was. So thank you.
Comes natural.
Yeah, I mean, I hope, it's definitely my goal to do that and just expand on, what I was saying previously on just touching on different genres of music that I've always liked. So that's what people would have to look forward to. It might not be for the next project or the next single, but it's coming. It's music that I've always grown up to as well, or that I've listened to growing up, and I just thought it would be cool to sing it a little bit more than what all the other reggae artists would be singing to, and kind of give it that R&B flair. I think a lot of people are doing that now, and that's fine and it's cool because everybody can put their twist to it, but that's something that I've always wanted to do. And I think that this was just like the perfect time for me to make that mesh.
Yeah. And like I said, it comes off so natural. Sometimes people try to experiment and make something stick that's not quite sticking. So like shout out to you. I seen Nothing Less video and I was like, wow, this is really good.
Oh, thank you.
Different than what she's put out. So the fact
Yeah.
that into certain genres is just, really good to see.
Mm-hmm.
One thing though that, 2020 has deprived us all from are live performances. I know that you're someone that regularly performs and goes out and does showcases. How has that been for you and how have you kind of pivoted?
You know what? It's fine. At some point in time, I think between 2019, I just started to like kind of get back into performing. But then I was also experimenting with like the different music that I had. So this was kind of a good time for me to just like take a seat and think about what I wanted to do music wise. And then I'd be able to kind of broadcast that and do it, perform a little bit more. I've done a couple of, digital performances. And I think now that we know how to navigate this space, for me, my goal is to perform live more, with a sensibility of, having even maybe an audience. We'll figure it out. I think during 2020, a lot of people were kind of just like, all right, well, let me try this. Let me do that. Let me just hop on live real quick. And I honestly, I'm not super comfortable doing that. And I really wanted to perform live, have a little background set up, do things to that effect. So I think going into 2021 and beyond, I'm a little bit more equipped to perform live and kind of do it my way. I know a lot of my friends love to perform live. They were out all the time, but I couldn't necessarily do that too because, I had a full-time job and I was just trying to figure out how to navigate that as well. So now that we're in this space and we're in 2021, I have an idea of what I want to do, and I've been able to kind of plan that out, gather the troops and my friends, and be like, hey, I have this idea, and move forward from there. So 2020 hasn't knocked me off of my feet in respect to performances, as opposed to other people.
Right. In addition to learning how to play the piano and different instruments, because I know that in another conversation you talked about how you wanted to make that one of your goals. What are some other goals that you have for the new year?
All right. So I want to learn how to produce my own vocals at home. I bought a whole setup, and that's definitely a goal of mine. To perform live, I have a lot of ideas, and my biggest goal is to just execute them. I have a plethora of ideas, but executing them is just kind of like, do I really want to go outside? Like, I am a homebody. I can go days, I can go weeks without leaving, especially now. Yeah. And I'm like, I never feel like I'm missing anything. But when I go out, I'm like, it was good to see this person. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now it's mainly to produce. So don't tell anybody, which, I mean, everybody's going to see this. But I want to release an EP for Black History Month, which is soon. So I'm gearing up to do that. Releasing my album later on this year, and then possibly releasing another project. So, and then making videos for the songs on my album. So
yeah.
That's my goal for 2021.
What should we expect to hear on this album?
So definitely the same type of vibe, in your type, but more experimentation, more pop, I'd say, and more collaborations. I think I've done like a handful of collaborations. My goal in general, just for the project, is to release it, to have it, to grow an audience, definitely, to expand beyond the people that know me, to kind of give them like a little pleasant surprise, and then move forward from that. I just want to release more music. The biggest thing about me is that I will sit on music forever and ever. And a lot of artists can relate to that, but definitely bring my ideas to life in a musical form and a performance form as well. So
I see all those things happening. Like I said, you've been dibbling and dabbling in different things. So I see all that, coming to fruition. And my last question is, what is the greatest advice you've been given as it pertains to your career in music?
Be patient. And it wasn't even from a musician, it's from my dad. He was like, "Okay, you need to be patient." And I'm like, "No, daddy," but he's like, "You're not listening to me." He's like, "I literally just said to be patient." So I would say to be patient, but execute your ideas and just put them out, because there's a lot of things that I've done and I've seen other people do it. And it's like, oh, that's lovely. I'm happy that I could inspire that for you, kind of thing. Yeah. Be patient, put your ideas out, have a plan of action. Don't just release something today and tomorrow, because those days are gone. Collaborate laterally. I know a lot of people have heard, I think like Issa Rae and other people say that a lot. of my project has been a collaboration between my friends that I admire. And we've been able to write some amazing music and um, been able to put our resources together and just make some amazing things. So I think a lot of us, especially now, is to just collaborate often with people that you trust.
Yeah. And that's great advice. RKHTY, I want to thank you on behalf of the Digilog team for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.
You've been a supporter and a big part of our community since day one, and we are excited to see what 2021 brings you. Um, let the community know where they can find your music, merch, video. Let them know.
But you can find all of all of my music on RKHTY.com. There's a direct link on my Instagram, which is RKHTY. And for most platforms, you can just type in RKHTY and you will find me very easily. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have always been able to provide a platform for me to even, perform new music and just always uh, provide a listening ear and resources that have helped me throughout my career. And I can't wait to see what 2021 has had in store for you. And I'm very grateful for your support and your ongoing support as well. So, yeah.
Thank you.